Hey, hello everybody. This is Justin, and this is the next session of our YouTube videos. And today we are going to talk about lead generation. So here's here's the thing. Um, let's just talk about a couple things right off the bat. One, from a lead generation perspective and working your business, working however you're trying to build a consistent flow of business is all going to be personalized for your skill set, your motivations, your personality, right? We will have those in place, and you can definitely control how you lead generate through knowing a little bit about yourself. Now, in future sessions, we are definitely going to have conversations about how about learning a little bit about yourself, who you are. Now, we did one earlier, DISC, and we had that conversation, but, there's more than just that, right? We do have certain things, certain influences of our lives, certain demands of the time that we're in that will also control that a little bit. Um, and with lead generation, it is always extremely important to do things that I can do day in, day out. I'm kind of charged or energized by that particular strategy that I do. Um, There is a very good book, 15 Laws of Growth, in there by John Maxwell. Again, you'll hear me quote Maxwell quite a bit because, well, I'm certified in them, one, but two, I really like a lot of things that they say. And it's definitely changed certain ways that I look at my business as well as how I help others go through their business. But there's a chapter in there called The Law of Energy, and simplified conversation in that the law of energy essentially says, basically, a real simple factor that um, your surroundings and people around you will energize you and or take the energy away from you. And you need to be very, very aware of that in your business. So when you're looking at your real estate career, your businesses, um, you want to know what is charging and energizing you. Now, I set that all as a caveat because today's topic is my three favorite lead generation techniques. It may not be yours. I will probably come back later at some point in time and talk about variations of lead generation because there is a ton. The other caveat I will tell you right off the bat is I really believe that there is no bad form of lead generation. There might be some that are less efficient than others, but there is no bad lead generation strategy out there. One of the things that I tell people all the time is we're a little past it now. We are in June, but in March and April is tax season, and you will see someone always out there in a Statue of Liberty costume saying, come check us out for your tax needs, right? They do it every year. So it works, right? Now, is it the most efficient use of time? Probably not, but it works. It makes some money and it keeps moving forward. So there is no bad way of doing a lead generation. The only bad way is ones that you do not consistently do. So that's the thing I want to make sure you understand is that when you're doing this stuff, you want to be extremely consistent in your business. So with all of that being said, I have three that are probably, well, I have four. We're just talking about three today, really, because I want to talk about internet lead generation as a completely separate topic. But I do love internet lead generation. I think there's solid and amazing techniques. But outside of that one, my three favorite ones today that I think work hand in hand over and over again fairly easily every day of the week is first your SOI or COI, depending on who you're talking to, who you're working with, and that is your center of influence for COI, sphere of influence for your SOI, or what I commonly call the know, like, trust, the KLTs. Right? This is a group of people that know you're in the business, and want to see you succeed. And that last part is the critical part of all of this, right? That last part in here is the most important part of that factor that you want to make sure that that they do want to see you succeed. So I love the SOIs, right? The next one is networking. That could be informal or formal forms of networking. That, these are when you're going out and meeting people on a very consistent basis. And then the last one is, now this all depends on your area. And again, we'll talk about this here in a second, is door knocking. Um, I love door knocking as well. I think door knocking is a great thing, especially this time of year. It's a little warm out here. This is in June for this now. And it is, I think, an amazing opportunity for business because you get FaceTime. People see you out and about. Now, door knocking may change things for different people. Some of that door knocking may be mailers as well. But again, those are the three techniques that I absolutely love. So let's kind of break them down here real quick. Let's walk through and kind of talk about what each are, maybe some examples or steps on how you can go out there and work each one of them. Uh, and then again, some examples or strategies for follow up and follow through. So, first and foremost, you have your SOI. Your SOI, sphere of influence, center of influence, know, like, trust. Again, depending on whatever term you like the most, that's who we're talking about right now. The people that know you, like you, and trust you. Well, first and foremost, statistically speaking, I still think it's the best and easiest group to convert. Again, remember, they already like you. They already know who you are, and they want to see you succeed. So when you look at that, what does that look like? How are you reaching out to them? What are you doing? I mean, how many touches are you doing? Um, how many conversations are you having? How many mailers are you sending? What does that look like, right? I know we always worry about over communicating, right? Being a nuisance. I will say that's a myth. Quite traditionally, that's more of a fear on us than it is the people we are talking to. It's typically not the case. Some people will be for sure, but in and out is typically not the problem. They want to hear from you. They want to see how you're doing. So for me, if you go with some of the more traditional real estate books out there, they'll tell you as many as 33 times a year, which means roughly 3 times a month. I will tell you I'm usually once to twice a month where I'm reaching out. One's it'll vary between an email, a text message, a phone call, um, a tip, a strategy, whatever, right? I'll make these reach outs in there to get that done. So if I am trying to touch twice in a month, right, having some sort of thing out there, because I'm trying to keep the reason I'm doing at least 24 times is I'm trying to stay front of mind, right? I'm trying to stay where I want them to know who I am. I want to know that I'm out there ready to help them in doing the business. So how do I do that without saying, hey, hello, my name is, right? How do we make sure that happens? Well, I think there's some really easy tools or really easy solutions out there. First and foremost, I love Facebook. One of the things I love Facebook for is when I look up my friends and family and that SOI group on Facebook, the first thing it always tells me as soon as I get on Facebook is whose birthdays today is. So if I have someone's birthday, now I don't really respond on Facebook, but I will respond in an email or a text, something a little more personalized or through a note cards that I can actually physically mail out to people. I can do that. Speaking of note cards, I do like note cards a bunch. You can have a bunch of them. You don't have to go spend a ton of money on note cards, and you can go and just write notes sitting there saying, happy anniversary, happy birthday, um, thinking of you type of thing, right? It doesn't have to be anything really too complicated out there for that business, but you're just keeping top of mind and top of the business. So that helps a lot. Um, the other thing that I really love with our SOIs is doing a a yearly update. So that yearly update in there is a tool out there for you that will allow you to give kind of like a system idea of what's going or like a systematic idea of what's going on in their area, in their neighborhood, and whatever, right? It would be something similar to a financial review. I love this because if you do have RPR in your area, which most of us should, there's actually a market activity report that would fit that really, really well. So every year I can send this little mailer out saying, "Hey, I'd love to do coffee with you. Let's just, kind of catch up." And I can run you through what your neighbor, what your area is doing, what it looks like in your area, how you're doing. Is your home value up? Is a home value down? No, this is not a CMA. This is just a simple value add that I'm working to give to my clients. And it makes life just a little bit easier. Now, the reason I like that and the reason I like the SOI in here is one simple reason. And that reason is when I am doing this from a business perspective, I just gave a value add. I just gave an item of value. And there's a rule. There's a very good book by Dr. Robert Cialdini called Influence. It's an amazingly solid book. And I'm gonna cliff note this conversation a bit, but there's a rule in there called the rule of reciprocity. I call it a rule. I think they just call it the reciprocity. But that reciprocity simply says this: whenever you are giving something of value, the people are going to want to return the value received or the perceived value received, really. Well, so if I give an updated report and I'm helping them get that stuff and I'm helping them be a little bit better in their world, I'm going to get them to want to help me out, whether it's them selling their home, buying their next home, or if they can refer somebody to me, they're going to want to do it. Right now, please use it authentically. I'm going to tell you this right now because as soon as it's ever perceived as inauthentic, you lose immediate and forever confidence in your clientele. So always use it authentically. But it's really, really good to do. Now, there are other things you can always do because, again, I know some people like when they make a phone call to the SOI, and this will be true with your networking event as well as your door knocking. Um, another big strategy from a communication perspective when you're talking to people over the phone or whatever it is I call it forward. Um, I don't call it forward. I always learned it as forward. Some people call it form. Family, occupation, recreations, and dreams. Some people call it form, family, occupation, recreations, and motivations. Nuance differences for that, but it is there for you and you can work that. Now, here's what I will tell you. They're really easy, right? How's your family doing? How's life going? Sister, brother, wife, husband, kids, parents, whatever. They're going to tell you. Again, they're always going to ask you the same question. So how's your occupation doing? How's that job going? What are you doing? How's it looking for you out there? What's you doing? They're always going to ask you the same thing. So it's always an opportunity for you to tell you how real estate's working for you and some of the goals you have, right? Always awesome. Same thing with recreation, right? What are you doing for hobbies? What is you got plans for the weekend? Whatever that may be, right? It always works for you in that regards. And then the dreams, right? I love this one because, hey, what are your goals? What do you want to do this year? What's your 2023 goal? What's your the end of the year goal, whatever it is, or what's your 5-year goal, whatever that may be. And if I establish that goal, I can put that in my CRM, right? And I can write that out there. So that time, anytime I have someone that says, hey, we're looking for this, or I can match the goals up with someone that I know, again, I'm going to help. I'm going to give them a huge value add by just being a listener, right? Just listening to the conversations, just listening to the topics at hand, and being an item of value. Now, as always, anytime you're looking at, I think you should always try to be asking for referrals. But again, if you use that forward technique, it's usually fairly easy to ask because as soon as they ask about your occupations or your dreams, it's an easy segue in that is really an unsolicited segue. So it really, really works very, very well for them. So that's your SOI. Now, again, I'm not going to repeat all of that communication strategies over and over again because some of that is going to lay over on the next 2 variations. Because again, the reason they're my 3 favors, there is some simplicity and systematic situations that go throughout all 3. But my other one is I love networking. So this is when you should be looking to go to business events, networking events in your area, whether it's your local real estate association, maybe it's your chamber, maybe there is an independent business networking group you can go to, or and it can doesn't have to be business, right? It can be social, it could be hobby based. I know of an agent out on one of the coast where they started their business basically just being a fan of a sports team. And that's how they got a lot of business early on in their career. You can always make that happen. I think business is probably a low hanging fruit for most of us, just for the pure fact that when we were working in here in that business, we're all talking the same things. We do have one goal, and that's grow our reach, grow our business. We have that same reach. So there's certain parts in there. Now, here's what I will say. With networking, there does come some challenges, especially if some of us are more introverted in nature, and that would be me. I mean, if you're an extrovert, you're already going around talking to everybody, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second too. But for us introverts, let's talk about this right off the bat. A lot of times, it's easy to get caught up being a wallflower and kind of watch around. And I will be honest, your first couple times you go to a networking event, I'm not going to tell you that's the best strategy, but I'm not also going to say it's the worst strategy, because if you're an observer of natures, you will be able to see who it is, who to talk to. You might be able to see the players at hand and focus at them. But eventually, you got to get away from the wall. And when you get away from the wall, again, I'm going to always encourage you to go back to four: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I'm also going to tell you to make it your goal to listen more than you speak. Ask questions, get them talking. Because if you can be the director of networking, right? You can say, "Oh, hey, Tom, you do financial accounting. We got a person over here that just started a new business. They're struggling with their account set up and their business set up. You might want to talk to each other, right?" You can kind of set that strategies up. The best networkers I have ever seen in business aren't there to sit there and hand their business card out. They're there to engage new relationships, and they do an amazing job. And I'll tell you right now, I never forget them. So you will have that in place, and that will work. So with networking, listen, first place, listen more than you speak. Ask questions, have them ready to go. Listen more than you speak. Do this. I will also say, do not be the blackjack dealer with your business cards. I watch people all the time walk around a business meeting at those networking events, and they're just handing out their business cards. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to tell you, because I know I do it, and I talk to a lot of people. They do the same thing. They will put that business card in one of their back pockets, and they will have forgotten about it. And once they have forgotten about it, it'll get washed in the in the washing machine, or it'll get thrown away when they get back home, because there was not a connection built. Do not hand out your business card unless there's a connection, like something. You can answer some question about them. You can say a little bit about their occupation, recreations, and dreams, family too, right? If you can answer those questions, and take that business card. If you know of somebody that you can help them with, definitely take that business card. Also, give your business card at that point in time. But do not just be handing them out like you are, like, it's your moniker, so to speak, because it's not going to build that business. It's not going to build that relationship. It's not going to build what you need next for your business. And again, I'm always going to tell you to go back to the dreams. I think the best thing we can always do in a networking event is find out what the people that you are networking with, what their goals are, and how you can help them. And if you can find out how you can help them and make it happen, or at least get the steps moving forward, they're going to want to help you as well. And they will help you, right? So there's always going to be there. Some of the best people that I know in our business uh, that has a continuous cycle of business, they do networking. Now, it's not always, like I said, it's not always business networking. It may be personal or whatever, but it's networking. They're always out. They're always communicating, and they're talking to someone new pretty much every day of the week, right? So networking is another amazing strategy that you can have out there. and make sure that happens. Now, if you don't know where to find networking events and you don't know how to find that, right? I would always go quick and easy, right? If you don't know where to go right off the bat, your local real estate associations will always have networking events off the bat. And I think that's an easy, low hanging fruit to get your strategies in place, right? Learn how to communicate, learn how to interact, kind of build that networking muscle, so to speak. I also like Chamber of Commerce, your local chambers. Most chambers, if you are thinking about being a chamber member, will usually let you go to a couple of them for free to figure out if you want to be a part of them or not. I'd say if you're going to go, I would pay for it because usually, as a single entrepreneur, those chamber prices typically are fairly low. So it shouldn't cost you much money. Now, if you don't have any one of those, or you're looking for something a little more unique in interest, like you have special hobbies, or again, you're a sports fan, or whatever it may be, you can go to different things. Like you can go to Eventbrite or meetup.com, right? And you can go to these websites, and these websites will have in your area different events you can attend. You can filter it out based on your hobbies and interests, or you could just find something and scroll through in your area and see what's going on. Now, if you live in a little more or little less dense communities, they may not be the easiest out there. But as long as you are typically in a more dense community, suburban type communities, if not urban, you will be able to find a lot of opportunities out there for your business. Again, you got church too, depending on where you sit that way, you have that as well. That will be plenty of amazing strategies. All right. So last but not least, and we're doing pretty good with time here. So last but not least is door knocking. And I love door knocking. One, I don't know if you've noticed this yet or not, but all three ideas I gave you are essentially free ideas, right? I mean, they may cost a little bit of time here and there, gas, timing, things like that, but there's no additional cost traditionally to get this stuff moving. Door knocking is no different. I love door knocking, a neighborhood, a subdivision, building that relationship. Now, I did it because when I first started real estate, I was told go door knock, and well, I was coachable, which I'm going to tell you right now, everybody. If you're not, be coachable. If you are, be more coachable, right? Someone tells you to do something, as one of my mentors told me a long time ago, don't try to prove me wrong, prove me right, right? So you come in there and they say, do something, go do it and make sure it works. You know, it keeps going and keeps going and keeps trying. And I love door knocking. So I love door knocking for two reasons. One, I got to be out and about, right? So I would door knock on doors. Now, here's I will throw one quick caveat for this, folks. Um, every area has solicitation rules. So know what those solicitation rules are in your area. Some areas need you have a certificate or a license with the community to be able to do the door knocking. Some won't allow it at all. If you're in more urban areas that have like big condo complexes, it may be a little tougher. Those areas may require more of a mailer strategy, or maybe even more of a built in networking event that you can just kind of establish and drive from that perspective. Sorry about that, folks. Um, so you you may have to do other things for this, but if you can door knock in your area, door knock, introduce yourself, tell them that you are trying to help people learn about the market. You're trying to help people and go out there. One of my favorite starting conversations as far as door knocking going is, hey, I'm trying to work with people that want to buy in the area. Can you just tell me a little bit about the community? Or I want to learn more so I know I can speak on it more accurately. What can you tell me? What made you move in here? How long ago did you move in here? And then depending on which strategy you want to go, you can always lead it towards like, where would you want to go next? And how long would you want to be there? Right. You can always ask some of those leading questions as well. Nothing wrong with them at all, depending on how well the relationship goes. Those are extremely awesome questions to ask. But normally for me, those questions are really, really simple where I am just trying to get to know them, trying to build a little bit of a relationship, trying to add some values. Now, if I'm really trying to add a value, not only am I door knocking and asking those questions of people when I first start out, but I am bringing some local stats of that subdivision, neighborhood, whatever I'm doing in that area, so they know what's going on in their community, right? So we can have that out there. Because remember, everybody thinks they know what's going on in the market in their area because that's what their neighbors tell them. But we all tell fish stories, right? So the accuracy is the truth is somewhere in the story, but probably not completely in the story that they're hearing from their neighbors. So I want to come with the stats. I want to say, hey, just so you know, here's what we got. Here's what I have for you. And I'll bring new stats for you next month, and I'll do it again for the next month, and you'll see it. I do it in door hangers, right? So if I door knock, no one answers, I put a door hanger on the door, as long as the solicitations in those communities allow me to do that. And I will do that every time. Now, door knocking takes time, folk. It takes a little bit of effort. When I was doing a 150 home subdivision, I mean, it was about an hour and a half. Um, for two reasons. One, I would work at it pretty fast, but two, you're not talking to everybody. You're going to get a handful, 6, 7 people. My goal always, though, is every time I came in is to get a new 6, 7 people, right? Not the same. So I would try to make sure if I door knocked 1 or 2, that the next time I just put the flyer and didn't door knock on them unless I needed to respond with an answer or a question on things. But that item of value with stats is hugely beneficial. Hugely beneficial. So that's the one thing. I got to build some relationships with the people in my area, and I got to do a lot of really, good networking really through door knocking. Well, the other thing that I did not realize that happened from door knocking that does extremely well is when I am door knocking on those homes, they were watching. They were observing. Watching probably sounds a little more ominous than it really is. They were observing me, right? And they were impressed with the hustle, right? So for me, door knocking in the areas, putting my name out there, doing whatever I can to help people in the area, try to build those relationships. They were very impressed with what I did. And that was a huge win for me in the communities, right? They saw who I was, what I was doing, how I was working with them. And I would hear rumblings of people being impressed with what's going on. I think that's a huge unintended consequence and an unintended um, value add that I did not realize I was giving to the area. People like the hustle. People like the effort. They love what's going on in that area. So those are the three, right? So we had the three in here. We had work your SOI, COI, KLT. We had networking and we had door knocking. Pick one or all three. Here's how I always explain this, folks. I think you should always have 3 buckets of business. The one you focus on, well, one I think should almost always be SOI. That's a group of people you should always focus on because again, it's the low hanging fruit and statistically the most convertible, whether it's them specifically or a referral based business. 2, your niche, so to speak, niche or niche, however you like to say that word. Is it a door knocking? Is it neighborhood? Is it your networking? Is it another topic, first time home buyers, whatever that may be? And again, we'll talk other strategies down the road to help you with your business. But which one is it, right? What is that niche or niche, depending how you like to say the word? And then I also like you paying attention to your markets and the trends that are happening, right? Is your market prices going up, or is it like it is right now? The market price is going down. Um, that's going to change certain things, right? I started real estate when the market was going up, and then the bottom fell out. 2007, 2008, the bottom fell. So my niche for several, or my my trending market that I was following was the distressed market, and then I had to transition from that because they started slowing down to new markets, and I went to internet lead generation. That was the next one for me because there was a lot more happening on the internet side of the world. So what is those, right? Those are the 3 things I want you to kind of pay attention to. and go from there. So again, just a reminder, it's, your SOI, I think, at all time. I mean, you can always change that to your business, do what you want to do, but SOI, then your niche or niche, and then whatever market is, whatever the market trends are currently going on. Um, Now, always focus just on one of those until you get your business portfolio running well enough that you can go with the other two. But I'm gonna tell you, eventually you're gonna have probably three bozo buckets, as I call them, out there. So thank you all for attending. Again, if you have not yet, please like and subscribe on the channel. These will be out in podcasts soon too, so you can like and subscribe there. And if you do ever have questions or anything that you want me to talk more about or go into a deeper dive on, put them in the comments. Write me an email. Do what you need to do. I will do my best to answer those questions for you at all times. Until then, we will see you at the next video.